All right, recording to the cloud. It is that September? 9 is September, isn't it? September 15th. Wow.
Yeah.
I'd ask what happened to the summer, but it's still cooking over here, so I'm still feeling summer. But I did notice, Barb and I went down to the beach last night just to watch the sunset, and it was like, holy crap, it's 7:30, it's already dark. It's like, what happened? It's not supposed to be dark till 8:30. So our days are definitely shortening up. Going into that, I call it the dark time of year. So good time to get stuff done though. All right. So I think I overheard you guys when I came back talking about the last few calls being really good. Was that what I heard?
That's what I said anyway. I felt
That was the consensus, because I haven't been here for a couple weeks, so I needed motivation to go back and listen to the tapes. So thank you very much always for doing that.
Well, a couple of interesting things about that specifically. Over the last few weeks, I've gotten way behind. I just uploaded the last 3 weeks of recordings, I think yesterday. So we're finally back up to date, but I got out of sync, I don't know, with Perry's event and just one thing after another. But I think I'm almost back on track here now, catching up, getting stuff. Yeah. It's amazing how much shit can pile up on my desktop. Like I finally got to Linda's keywords. She needed her keywords. So I'm like, I got this big stack of stuff and I got a bunch of stuff for Richard. So I'm chewing my way through the list. So,
that stupid domain still won't verify.
Yeah, I don't know. I almost think that when I looked at the error, I need to go back and look at the record and make sure that the number is the right number. Because in your error, it said this number was expected and this one was found. So I think you might have given me the wrong number.
I gave you the number that they gave me. So, but I would go with the one that's in the error, because that's apparently the one they want. But the problem is they say the number is unique. That's what identifies my account, but who the hell knows? Yeah,
it is. That's why it has to be right. So in the error, when it said this is the one we expected, I expect that's the one we should have.
Yeah, my favorite saying is technology's wonderful when it works.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to tell you, I host a lot of accounts. I've got hundreds of accounts that I host, and every one where they've ever run it through Outlook, there's always mail settings in the DNS, which I have not seen those for you. All I've seen is the verifier. So you need to confirm if they're hosting your mail, or if you're just using like Microsoft Outlook to read your mail.
It's the issue is, apparently about a month and a half, 2 months ago, Outlook or Microsoft discontinue, it's kind of like when the old software goes out of date, they no longer service it. Well, when they changed that, man, it was one of these while we're in the process of changing things, let's just really update things and make them better. And every time any one of these major platforms updates to make things better, it always goes right square in the toilet. It's taken me a couple of months to sort it out. And when I set up this last one to reset it up, that was the only thing they wanted. They wanted the one record added, and the other email is working just fine. So I don't know. Maybe they actually figured out a way to actually simplify something.
Well, I did both forms of verification for you.
Maybe that confused them.
I uploaded the text file, and I also put in that DNS record. So the DNS record was the one that came back with the error. This one is expected. This one was found. So I'll fix that for you, as soon as we're off the call. but they might have found the other one and said, oh, okay, because they only need one.
Yeah, well, it's still, I just checked it just a moment ago before we came on, and it doesn't verify yet. But
Okay.
so another issue that I'm really, how in the world is it that you can have category1.com as the main domain, you're hosting it, and yet I can have Kartra on there, I can have Microsoft on there, I can get SendGrid on there, I can put autoresponder. How does all that stuff get squared away so that it actually sorts out the right one at the right time? That don't fit.
It's all through DNS. DNS is it's the routing system of the internet. So when you buy a domain, you're physically buying a domain, and when you buy it, it's unresolved. So by default, like let's say you buy it through GoDaddy, for instance. By default, when they sell it to you, they set up like a default server so they can host a coming soon page or whatever. So that's usually done for you at the registrar, but it is done through a DNS record. So you have name servers, so the name servers default to the registry that you bought it through. That's why when you set up a hosting account or you want to host a website, you have to go in and you have to change the name servers. Now, the name servers is the base thing that tells it where the DNS records live. So like when you point to me, now all of your DNS records live on my server. So any DNS record I need to put in for you. And those DNS records tell where everything is. It says like, okay, if somebody goes to the category of one.com, it lives here on this IP, on this server. If you have, let's say you've got Kartra dot category of one.com. I put a CNAME record in there that says when you look for this, it's over here on the Kartra platform. When you have mail hosted at Outlook, I put in DNS records that says when you're looking for mail at category of one.com, it's sitting over here on this server. That's where to get it. So it's like a roadmap of where all of your assets live on the internet. They don't have to live in the same place.
But what if you have 3 email things? I mean, how does it sort out 3? I mean, because Microsoft's one email, if I wanted to get some of the emails contacts are going to go through Kartra, and I actually want to have I've got another software program that Frank Kern is doing that is breathtaking, and that's going to be in Go High Level, so there's going to be email from Go High Level. How does it sort that out? Is that all DNS?
The mail still lives where the mail lives. So like with Kartra, Kartra is not using your mail. They're using your mail address, so it looks like it's from you, and it returns back to you. But when it actually goes across their network, it's being sent out through their servers. That's going to be the same thing with SendGrid. SendGrid is going to actually send your mail over their servers with the return address back to your address.
So all of it eventually will come back to the Microsoft account then, if that's the main email?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
No matter how many other email, then how Microsoft sure ain't going to capture any of those leads. How do they get picked up?
No, it's all routed through these DNS protocols. Okay. So like if it's going across Kartra and it's going through your form, that's going to land in the Kartra database because that's where the DNS says it lives. If it's going out over mail goes out through a protocol called SMTP. It's the send mail protocol. And that SMTP could be used in multiple locations by multiple pieces of software. But yet when the mail sends, it's sending across a mail server. The thing with SendGrid is they're sending it for you without using your SMTP servers. So they're masking your address on top of their servers so the mail can flow through them. And a lot of times people will do that for email deliverability because they know their deliverability, if they take a regular IP address and they send 1,000 pieces of mail an hour, it's going to get blocked. SendGrid has been sending millions of pieces of mail an hour on behalf of hundreds of thousands of people for years. So it doesn't look suspicious. So they can rent you a little spot on their outgoing flow of mail and your mail gets delivered. That's called a bulk mail provider. So Kartra doesn't want to be in the bulk mail business. They don't want their IP reputation damaged. So they're very, very picky about who you can send to, how your open rate has to be. You know, they're very protective of their mail backbone, which is really good. I applaud them for that. They might be a little too strict, you know, in some cases, but that's better than not, especially when it comes to mail delivery. But kind of wrapping back to our opener there about these calls being really good. It's funny because for the last 6 months, the majority of the calls on Thursdays, I open up and I have absolutely no plan whatsoever. There's a few times where I have some topic or something that I'll start off with, but for the most part, these calls are driven by you guys, and they're supposed to be. It's not supposed to be about me just blabbing about, you know, whatever. I will do that if, you know, in the interim of your silence, I will step in and talk about something that I feel is important. And usually it, you know, it's always going to relate to some part of the ACT program, which is very important. So, but I just wanted to, you know, let you guys know that these calls are really good, not because of me, it's because of you guys. You know, the better questions you bring, the better the calls are. And it's funny because every time I think, you know, at the end of the call, I'm like, wow, that was awesome. That was great content. I'm like, how, you know, next week's going to be pitiful compared to this. And it isn't, it just keeps getting better. So thank you guys all for providing me that ability to deliver stellar content. Keep up the good work.
Hey, John.
Randy, you're very broken there. Not even hearing Randy at this point. But one of the things, I've got my notes. I finally went over all my little notepad notes from Perry's event. And one of the
Hold on, John, I'm in a bad spot.
Oh, okay. We'll come back to you when you're good. But one of the most impactful things that I had on my note sheets as I was kind of going through these was one of the first things I wrote down when we first walked in and Perry was, you know, doing his opener. And he was talking about how he makes effective offers. And this goes right directly to the big idea. You know, this is totally 100% big idea related. And it could possibly be the difference between him and most everybody else. And he basically said, you've got a couple of things that you could focus on. You could focus on the how, which is your solution. And that's where most people start. And he said that's the worst place you could start because they don't care yet. They don't care about the solution yet because you haven't talked about the problem. And in a lot of cases, people don't even recognize the problem until you tell them what it is. So he said, when you start off your openers, your attention grabbers with the why, then the how will become very important. And then you can just move it. You know, we've got these different pieces on our funnel, and the first piece is the attention grabber, right? Well, the attention grabber is going to be the why, not the how. We want to take the how and we want to move it one step down the ladder into create demand and desire. Because when somebody wants to actually know how to do something and you tell them, you're creating credibility for yourself and you're creating demand and desire for them to want the outcome. And believe me, believe me when I say, you'll hear a lot of people say this, Frank Kern included. The more you tell them how to do something, the more they're going to want it done. The more they're going to want you to do it for them. or do it with them. You know, he said there's 3 great models that you can pick. He said there's the here's how you do it, the do it yourself. Here's the I will do it with you. And the here's I will do it for you. And obviously the price goes up radically as that goes down the line. You know, the do it yourself is cheap. The do it with you is, you know, intermediate price range, and the done for you is okay. You're going to pay through the nose for this one, but you're going to get what you want. And it's going to be worth my while to do it for you. So those are kind of the 3 models. But the why, a lot of people don't know the problem. You know, like, and he used the example of, hey, my toe hurts, you know, and basically the problem is gout. But they don't know that. All they know is their toe hurts. And he comes in and identifies the problem. He says, hey, your toe hurts because of gout. And now they know what the problem is. What do you think they're going to want? Maybe a solution? How the hell do I get rid of that? That's when you move into the how. Imagine if you didn't do that and you just came in with, hey, I got a solution of how you can get rid of gout. What the hell's that? All I know is my toe hurts. I don't give a shit about gout. I just want my toe to stop hurting. Well, if you connect the dots right in the beginning and you tell them your toe's hurting because you have gout, that's what's making it hurt. Now, all of a sudden, how important is the how to get rid of it? How do you get rid of gout? All of a sudden, now that just got a big old spotlight on it, and it's front and center. It's a very little difference there. The very little difference between going about something and banging your head on the wall, which you guys know how soft my head is. I don't like that kind of thing. and taking the easy route. You know, it's like lightning. Lightning will take the path of least resistance to get its job done. That's like me. I will take the path of least resistance because I don't like to bang my head on the wall. And it's really insightful, you know, to hear these guys like Perry talk about this stuff. And I don't know if he knew how important that was, but that's an incredibly important distinction of creating your big ideas wrapped around the why instead of the how. So tell them why they're having a problem. They're experiencing something, but they have not connected it. Like in the ACT program, when we look at the pyramid of awareness, where do you think they are? They're down in the unaware part of the pyramid. That's the biggest part. That's where the biggest opportunities lie, in the unaware. So that's a great place to operate. If you can figure out how to get into that part of the pyramid, the part where your people are completely unaware, and you can come in and you can connect that dot and tell them why their toe hurts. Or tell them, you know, why the IRS is going to be after them. You know, it's the why. You know, why are you struggling in business? Why does everyone else get customers and you can't? You know, why are you broke? You know, it's the why. If you can attach the why to what they're feeling, all of a sudden, guess what? You're going to get their attention. So you need to figure out what that's the part of ACT in the analysis. That's when you get into your avatar creation. And even before that, go all the way back to the beginning. Figure out your most profitable segment of this market. You know, like if you're talking about the guy that his toe hurts and you're going to sell him a gout cure, there might be 1 million people that have gout. Half of them probably can't afford your solution, right? Take them out of the equation. Segment it down. Sometimes you do it merely by demographics. Look at where they live. If they can afford a house in that neighborhood, they can afford to make their toe stop hurting, right? It could be just that simple. Your analysis needs to be simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. You just need to figure out who you're selling to, and it should be focused on the most profitable segment of that market, whatever that market is. You guys need to get the picture. It doesn't matter what you're doing or what you're selling. It's all the same. You're going to be selling it into a market, and the market's going to have multiple segments, and they're not all going to be profitable. Right? Who you think, I get this a lot. People will think they've figured out who their ideal customer is, and it's usually wrong. And when I question them about it, what it comes down to is they think their ideal customer is the one that's easy to acquire. That's not your ideal customer. If you go after the ones that are easy to acquire, there might be a reason they're easy, right? They're going to be a pain in your ass. And if you get a bunch of those, they're going to eat you alive. They're going to suck the life out of you, and you're going to have nothing left at the end of the day. That's not freedom. Freedom is time and money. You need to find the ones, might be a little harder to get them, but they're the ones that are going to bring you joy and happiness in your life. They're going to bring you the most amount of money for the least amount of effort. And you don't need a lot of them. So you,
Hey, John.
you need to take it back to that first and figure out who is that? Who's your most profitable segment, and build your avatar around them. Yeah, Randy, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I meant to, I was trying to get over. I'm in the car, but I'm in a better spot now. But going along with what you're saying, what if you have, and I know I'm in the car and I can't get my computer up, but I know you have the document that perhaps you could help me with. And maybe you can bring that up on your screen in a minute or so, or whenever you feel like it's time to beat me up on that and get me started in the right direction. But what if you have, say, a captive audience? Okay, so for example, I have a captive audience of entrepreneurs. Some are wanting to start a business, some are already in business, but they have 20 or 30 different issues or concerns or things they want to learn about or learn more about. How do you narrow that down to just something much more simpler?
It's going to be the exact same process. You look at, out of all of these, which ones are going to be the most profitable
in terms of the topic or what you're offering, or just the problem you're offering to solve?
Yeah, I mean, look at overall. You can't just look at the initial sale either. You have to look at lifetime value. When you're looking at the lifetime value of the prospect, that's where you need to evaluate who is going to be your ideal customer. So you pull them out of that segment. So you get the segment down, and then you start looking at, okay, in this bucket, who lives in this bucket? What's this person like? What's this person feeling? You know, what are they going through? All of that stuff. That's how you build your avatar. You just
so you're building the avatar based on one-on rather than a group of people that they're going to go through similar issues, they're going to have similar problems, challenges. You're not really focusing on the multitude. It's just one at a time.
Mm-hmm. When you're working on an avatar, the reason that you're working on an avatar is because of what an avatar is. An avatar is a representation of your ideal customer. It's not a representation of a market or a group or, you know, an audience. It's a person. Okay. And the reason for that is so you can communicate. When you communicate one-on-one to a person, there's no way you're not going to connect better than if you were talking to a full audience, right? There's no way you can communicate effectively with a full audience. By virtue of numbers, it could work in your favor because you do one speech and you pull out a number of people in the same amount of time frame, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one-on-one direct communication.
Okay.
You'll never be able to make one message that hits that entire audience.
Got it.
Like in the gout thing, one guy his toe will hurt, another guy his heel will hurt, you know, another guy the whole foot will hurt. And And if you talk about the whole foot with the toe guy, he's going to go, yeah, that's not me.
Yeah.
My toe hurts. I don't care about the rest of the foot. It's fine. So that's why you need to get it down. And if I were a podiatrist, I would hope that over my career, I would know who's going to be my ideal customer. Does his toe hurt? Does his heel hurt? Or does his whole foot hurt? You know, that's insight that they're going to know. You're not going to know that unless you're inside that sphere. So getting to know your customers, in a lot of cases, I get this question all the time. They say, how do I do this research? I'm like, there ain't no tool that's going to tell you this stuff. You can't just go to Google and say, who's my ideal customer, right? It doesn't know. So they ask, well, how do I do that? I don't have the means to do that. And in a lot of cases, what I've found is the person that is creating the product was probably originally the customer. They probably created the customer or the product for a solution for themselves. That 9 out of 10 times. So if that's the case, everything you need to know is right between your ears. You just have to go back and get it. And you cannot do it on where you are today, how you feel today, what you know today. Throw that out the window. Forget about that. Go back in time to before you had a solution. That's the guy you're looking for, or that's the gal you're looking for.
Got it.
And go back and walk in your own shoes back then. And that's where you'll get all the data you're going to need on how to talk to this avatar.
Okay, so that's avatars. So how do you take a group, how do you encourage or excite or get a group of entrepreneurs, in this case, to show up at and get butts in seats?
It's going to be the same thing. It's just in the group, you might have variations of that one avatar. So you just have to be a little more generic, a little broader. You know what I mean? You have to kind of anticipate who could possibly be in the room. Like you might open up, say, hey, it doesn't matter if it's your toe, your heel, or your whole foot. This seminar's for you. Because no matter if it's your toe, your heel, or your foot, it's the same problem causing it. It's gout. So listen up. I'm going to tell you, if it's your toe, your heel, or your foot, I'm going to give you the solution. So I just went from 3 to 1, or from 1 to 3.
So in that ad that you got a copy of, what should it be? What should I be targeting on?
And I was looking through here. I had this up a couple of weeks ago and I can't seem to find it now.
Oh.
So if you can email me
I'll do that.
Put it in the chat or something, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, I'll find it. I'll be quiet and find it, and then I'll show up in the chat.
Okay, sounds good. But that's it. When you're going to a room, and that's the difference. When I tell the story of how I spoke at Glazier Kennedy, Glazier Kennedy's room was full of all kinds of people. It had dentists, it had lawyers, it had chiropractors, it had small business owners, it had restaurants, 2,000 business owners in the room, right? And I had to walk down the middle of that minefield and try not to offend anybody, try to pull in as many people as I possibly could. And I did well by virtue of the numbers, just because the numbers of people in the audience. I don't remember what the percentage was, but it was like 4% or something. And it was good enough to walk me out the back door with $174,000. No complaints whatsoever, right? But that's 4% of the audience purchasing the product. Now, the following week, I did almost the identical presentation to a much smaller audience of just dentists. Somebody from the American Dental Association saw my presentation and they said, we have an opening in Denver next week. We would love to have you present. And I'm like, I'll be there. No problem. All I did was I changed a couple of slides in the presentation from a chiropractor example to a dentist example. And you know how I do claim proof benefit? Well, the proof slides I replaced, and I actually took screenshots out of the American Dental Association magazine to prove my points. That's all I did. I changed the presentation ever so slightly, delivered it, and it was over 50% that I sold. I think it was like 54%. Like, what would you rather have? 54% close ratio or 4? Just with that slight modification, that's how powerful this is when you get to talk to the right person and deliver the right message.
Okay, I sent it to you.
Okay, and it's not a big change in the messaging either. It's like the difference that Perry drew out here of how and why. You know, this stuff it's minor changes that are going to make major differences in your outcomes.
John, could I speak to that how and why thing? What you're talking about, and I wanted to jump in on this and give me a minute for getting a bit technical, but I think that's the point of the call. What you're talking about is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, the actual functioning of the human brain. And how, what, and why are dealing with are what's called levels of abstraction, and it's just like a funnel. It's just like a funnel. If I go in and start talking about nuts and bolts, you're going to go, what the hell are you talking about? Well, I'm talking about an engine, and the engine goes in the car. Well, what I'm really talking about is transportation. That's the why is the transportation. You tell them the why. This is, if you need transportation, you need a car, and it's got an engine in it, and it's got these high quality bolts. Now you're talking about things in the correct order, and the way people process it, and the way that they will deal with it. You can lead them to a buying decision. That's why you must start with the why, and take them through the how to the what you need to do, and they will say, "Don't tell me how to do it, just do it for me, please."
Yeah,
that is the correct funnel for your brain, how your brain will process it. So that's how it lands.
correct. And for you to figure out the why is by understanding what's most important to them. Like if you ask someone, let's say the car was your product, right? And you want to sell this car. So in your prospect, figuring out as far as this avatar, what's important to them and why, you start asking questions about, you know, why do they want a car? And ultimately, you know what you're going to find? You're going to find one of 3 things, depending if it's a man or a woman. And a woman, it's security. She doesn't want to ride the subway because she doesn't feel secure, right? Her car, she can lock herself inside, right? That's what's going to make it important to her. A man is either going to be significance or freedom. He's going to want to go where he wants when he wants to. He's going to want to look good doing it. He's going to want all his neighbors to envy him. You know, it all rolls back to that shit. So if that's what they want, that's where your why lands. You know, that's where you can say, you know, probably sucks for you driving a Yugo because you're thinking all your neighbors are looking at you going, who's this Jago? What's he doing in this neighborhood, right? That's not their image they want to put out. They want to look and go, wow, damn, look at that guy. That guy shreds. Right? So that's your why. Your neighbors don't have any respect for you because you're driving a Yugo, right? And nothing against Yugos, guys. I'm just using that as an example. If you've got a Yugo, I apologize. But you get what I'm saying, right? So that's how you uncover the why. This is why you get no respect in your neighborhood. This is why your neighbors don't look at you, you know, when you come out. They ignore you because you're not on their level. You want respect. You want them to talk to you. You want to be the center of attention, which significance, right? Representation of freedom, significance again. That's what it's all about. You got to get to the core if you want to dig up the emotions behind the stuff. If you're not going to get into the emotions of who they are and what they want and how they're going to get it, you might as well forget playing this game, because you're not going to be very good at it. And if you're not going to be very good at it, why don't you go do something you can be good at? And I say that lovingly because it's true. You don't want to do something you're not good at. You might have a great product, but if you're not good at the marketing and you're not willing to spend the time to learn it, I've said this many times, this is the most valuable skill set you're ever going to get in your life, because it will carry through everything you ever do. Everything. If you're able to communicate value, which is what I'm talking about, that will change everything for you. Everything. So if you're not willing to do that, then do what you're good at, focus on the thing that you want to offer, and hire somebody that is good at it so they can bring your value to life. Nothing wrong with that. I know a gazillion really brilliant inventors that have made stuff that would blow your socks off. And they're all going to die broke because of their ego. They're not going to let anybody come in and help them. And they're not communicators. And they're not willing to learn that skill, right? They're going to die broke. It's going to be a very sad thing. I've already seen many of them go throughout my lifetime with stuff that was incredible things that they had invented and created that'll never see the light of day because they won't get out of the way. So anyway, that's almost seeming depressing, isn't it? God. All right.
Yeah, and they're driving Yugos.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're not on this call.
And they're probably looking for a cliff to take that Yugo for the next ride.
The next level, John.
Take it to the next level. All right, so let's shift gears and get into Randy's example here. All right, so Randy is trying to put butts in seats, as he calls it. And this is, I'm assuming this is a landing page, not a website. And that being the case, I know this stuff here is probably just going to scroll us to a point in the same page. No, it actually went to a different page. So here's the most important thing about a landing page. The landing page, you're trying to accomplish one thing. You're not giving them a bunch of choices. So you need to remove all the choices off of here.
Okay.
On the landing page, it should be one thing we're trying to accomplish, and then possibly at the very end, an option to do something else if they're just not going to do it. So that's number one. This page just in itself, I don't know who this guy is or how he relates.
Why aren't you on there?
But yeah, that would be my first thing. Randy, if this is your seminar, you know, why do you have this guy representing you? He just
the answer to the real question is excuse me. The answer to the real question is this is out one of the pages out of Kartra, and I just didn't put my picture in it. That's the real answer.
I like it. That's my typical answer too. It comes back to laziness.
but I don't know why in this case they seem to always put those headers up top as if it's going to a website. So I thought, well, maybe I'm supposed to leave those and actually connect them.
Yeah, no, that's a perfectly good explanation for sure. But in a landing page, remember, a landing page is about grab attention and get an action taken.
Got it.
So that's what it needs to focus on. And then again, here you're saying what it is. Okay, so here's what it is. It's Envision Success Live. Now it's easier than ever. Okay, what's easier than ever?
Got it.
Enjoy a very exciting one-day live event for serious entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, and consultants who want to grow, create, and build awesome businesses and enjoy the lifestyle. You doesn't fit there because you're talking about them and now you're shifting to you. So you've got a very mixed message going on right there.
Okay.
Like that should be they deserve. If you say they deserve, that means they can paint their picture into it.
Got it.
So, but you're not really, you're kind of saying what it's going to do here.
So put it right up there. You're talking about the 3 areas that we're going to talk about.
I'm basically talking about, and a big idea, you're making a promise. Like what's the one thing they're going to leave here with? What are they going to get by doing this? What's in it for them? Because nobody cares about what it is. They only care about themselves, what they want, what they're going to get out of it, what's the promise. And then the believability has to be high. And this is where the unique mechanism comes in. And your unique mechanism is the one-day event. It's the Envision Success Live is the thing that's going to deliver this result. But we need to focus much heavier on what the result is that it's going to deliver.
Got it.
So you're talking here just about what it is, what it looks like. You're describing the pencil. You're not telling them why they need the pencil.
Okay.
So that right there, that needs to be the strongest thing when you lead in on a landing page. The strength and power of your message on that landing page is going to be the difference between success and failure.
Got it.
Because if they don't opt in here and you're asking them to book now, you're asking for a big commitment here. You're like, hey, babe, you want to get married? So, you know, you might say, you might ask them for a smaller commitment, you know,
Okay.
like learn more. You know, you want to find out if you qualify. You know, if you put a big carrot out there and then all of a sudden now you take it away and you say, you might not qualify for this. Let me just be upfront about that. Click here to see if you qualify. Then you can get the
taking notes.
And,
if my head is down, it's because I'm taking notes.
No worries. No worries. And this is recorded too. So you've always got that to roll back on. But the limited seats available, what you're doing is you're throwing an advanced tactic in here of an offer that's at the end of a sales process. So you've just got your sequencing upside down. Remember, grab attention, create demand and desire, eliminate objections, then make an offer. I don't think you've accomplished that yet here.
Okay.
So we're not ready for the marriage proposal. We gotta do some work in the middle. Unless you're just really good looking, and sometimes that'll work. That's never been my never been my experience.
It's just much easier when you're good looking.
But I absolutely loved what Perry had to say at the event, and he just kind of blurted this out in a small group of us. I forget what the topic was, but it came up that he said, you know, he goes, the more money I have, the more attractive I get.
That's probably true in most cases. I think Les Brown said the same thing. They'll find something good, cute on you if you got enough money.
Oh, that's too funny.
I think he used the example of, oh, you got earlobes like Denzel.
All right. So anyway, this is what's above the fold. If we go down, let's see here. we've got,
All right.
okay, so now we're talking about where it is.
Started on the big one.
Featured topics. I'm assuming you just don't have the stuff in here, or is this the actual content here?
Say that again now.
Is this your actual content?
I'm trying to see where it's at now. All of a sudden, I don't see it.
Oh, I'm down here under the featured topics where you've got the business model, the market, and your message. And then the business model, you've got an image, a visual image of a bunch of empty chairs, which
I didn't think about the fact that they're empty.
yeah, you're portraying, okay, here's a business model. I'm going to show you how to get a bunch of empty seats.
No, I think what I was thinking there is just showing people, hey, let's fill these seats, or, you know, it's actually a live event versus virtual. That was the thought process I was in at the time when I put those in there.
Okay, but you got to really think about your visuals. Your visual has to tie to the messaging. The visual should say whatever the messaging does if you take the messaging away.
Got it. Okay.
Like if we take your messaging away, what does that image say to me?
Got it. Okay.
Well, hard time
So-
figuring it out. And
I
then
will take care of that.
And then same thing with your message here. There's nothing about that image that says messaging.
Got it. I'll relook at all three of them.
Okay. Yeah. It's just you really you don't want to do this stuff haphazardly. And if you take templates, it's fine using templates. A lot of times there's a lot of good in the templates, but the templates are made to be a baseline for you to do your magic on. And this marketing, creating this marketing message is the magic. So it really, and you know, and I'm not a good one to really browbeat people because of how lazy I am and how crappy a job I do most of the time when I do this stuff. But if you really should spend some time on that stuff and create a funnel that is going to kick ass. I guess the reason that I'm able to be so lazy is it's a lot easier for me to get people to promote me.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been that way. So it's not been to my benefit. I'm going to tell you right now, it has not benefited me long term to be allowed to be as lazy as I am. And it's also why I'm not allowing you guys to be lazy as I am. So,
Makes sense.
you know, we can call it like we see it. If you want to call me out as a lazy schlep, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I'm going to hold you guys to a higher standard.
John,
okay.
John, I was amazed when I was looking at, I was trying to mimic your website and you had a girl on a beach. So I thought, okay, well, I'll do a guy fishing from the beach. And the first thing you say when you look at the page is the water's rough. I'm going, damn, I missed that.
Yeah, chaos. You know, the whole thing about the woman on my page was she represents freedom and calm and serenity and the way that her life wants to be. So, and again, you know, you spoke of this being NLP. I wish I knew a lot more about NLP. I know so little about NLP. It's scary that the little amount that I know about it, how effective it is for me and how well I use it. And how it's almost become subconscious in the way that I use it. And again, I'm going to go back to, if I wasn't as lazy as I am, I'd go back and learn it to a much higher level and get more benefit out of it. But seriously, that is something, if you don't have any experience in NLP, it's definitely something worth opening your eyes to. I'm not saying you need to spend, you know, an exorbitant amount of money on it. There's probably plenty of free stuff on YouTube that you could learn a lot of things about it. But it's a very, very powerful technique, and it's all about communication. NLP is 100% communication, visually, verbally, telepathically, if you will. There's a lot to it. And
there's
you know,
verbal, nonverbal, verbal, nonverbal, all that stuff. But as you say, don't send them away from our website, John. We've got, you've got, what is it? Jay Williams is in our group. He was on our group, and he's doing NLP stuff. Go to him. I've talked with him. I have a master's level certification, and I spent years learning that stuff as part of a business consulting program that was, quite frankly, very, very successful. And so I was able to sort Jay pretty quickly. He knows what the hell he's talking about. So if you want to learn it, I'd go talk to Jay about it.
Yeah, Jay is really good. I'm probably going to wind up doing a webinar with him to introduce him to you guys and let you see, what he does. I didn't go through him for my training, that when I did it, I wish I had, because I probably would have got more out of it. He's really good at explaining the stuff, and he's really good at piecing things together, telling the stories of impact so you get it. And he actually did a couple of NLP trainings based on me, on the way that I do things, that he said was incredibly unique. And one of them was about time compression. He said, he was looking at, over my entire life of how many skills I've mastered in such short time frames. And he's like, I don't know how you're doing that, but he said, if we could figure it out, we would have a product that we could sell for $1 gazillion. And in a conversation, I basically came up with it I swear to God, it goes back to my laziness every time. It's like, I want the maximum with the minimum amount of effort. And I am not going to spend long doing anything. Like I went through a 4-year education of high-end commercial photography and special effects in 1 semester. And I wasn't there to get grades. I failed every class. At the end of the semester, I got called into the dean's office, and he told me that I was going to be on academic suspension if I couldn't get at least a 1.4 grade average. And I laughed at him. And he was bent out of shape. He's like, I really don't see what's funny about this. Would you like to explain yourself? And I said, the thing that's funny about this is I don't really care. I'm not coming back. I got my 6 months and I'm leaving. And by this time next year, I'm going to be making more than you will at the end of your career. And he didn't really see the humor in all of that, but I certainly did. And I was right. I was not lying to him. By the end of the first year in that career, I was making more than he ever will make in his lifetime. I was making like $3,500 a day. And we're talking about 1985. And that was time compression. That was building a career in 1 year and 6 months prior training that most people spend 20 years to get to. And I did it in 1.5 years. And what Jay discovered was it was based on what I naturally do that comes down to time compression. I'm basically teaching people that right now in a different forum, using cryptocurrency as a time compressor of how to get wealthy in a very short time frame. Because most of the people I know, they're too late. They're, and I don't mean this to be nasty, but they're too old. They're too old in their life to have enough time for normal investing to make them wealthy. You have to start investing and saving and compounding money at a very early age in life if you want to get, several $1 million by the time you're in retirement. That's the normal way. My way is to do that just like I built that career, not over a 20 or 30 year time frame, but in 18 months. It's time compression. Everything. And I didn't realize any of this until Jay unpacked it and laid it out. And I'm like, holy shit, yeah, that fits into everything I've ever done, all the way back to when I was a kid. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if that's another thing that my dad embedded into me. He embedded a lot of shit into me that I'm just realizing now. And you know, I'm sad that he's not here, because I would love to ask him if he was doing that intentionally. I would love to think that he was. I would love to. He was an engineer, and I know damn well he was engineering me. As much as I would have hated that through the process to know I was getting engineered, I'm pretty thankful for who I am and what that has done for me. But, you know, Jay said, hey, if we can unpack this and teach people how to do that, time compression, he said that would be a very valuable thing. And so it's interesting. He's a pretty cool dude.
John, also an important thing is that, and I'll get into a little bit deep here, this current structure, the way NLP is usually taught, is unfortunately on a basis that's unethical. They don't teach you to be unethical, but the way it's taught and what is allowed in the way that most people teaches it very quickly leads you down a gray path going to a very dark place. Jay recognizes that and has changed the way he teaches so that he doesn't do that. I was in on some of the very, very early development of some of the NLP stuff, like timeline therapy and stuff. And that stuff is brutally dangerous. I mean, I had one friend, we were experimenting on him with this stuff, and he was about 3 days from committing suicide before we caught what we'd accidentally done and were able to undo it. But that's the kind of stuff that can go on if you don't have an ethical teacher. And I would, Jay is ethical teacher, and that's extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, in NLP, I break it down in very simplistic terms. It's a way to communicate. The benefit to it is it's a way to communicate so you get the outcome that you want. And if you're an evil person and you have that kind of power, that's not good. You know, if I'm talking about using it to take a product and show someone how this can help them, right? Truly help them. And one of the ways that I was taught, because when I was taught this, there was that barrier. There was a lot of people that were very anti-NLP and very anti-sales because of that. And this was a different instructor that I learned this lesson from. And it had directly to do with sales. He said, here's the thing, you do whatever it takes to do the right thing. And hence the right thing, not anything, the right thing. And he said, if you had a cure for cancer and there was a little girl that you knew that was going to die, and her parents were anti whatever it is that this cure that you have is, how hard would you fight for that little girl to convince them that it was the right thing and it would save her? How hard would you fight for that little girl to save her life? That's how effective your communication has to be to make sure that she gets the benefit of living. So you can take that and you can spin that the other direction to evil as all get up. It's a very powerful thing. And when you hand somebody that kind of power, you are doing a crapshoot of how they're going to use it. There's no way around it. And once you give a person that kind of power, if they are evil, it goes back to my famous saying, you can't get the shit back in the horse. You can't reverse it. Once they learn something, they've got it. You can't take it away from them. So you can put them in jail and keep them in a box, but you can't take it away from them. They're they're still going to have it when you let them out. And they're going to be pissed. So, all right.
John, quick question.
Yeah.
Do any of you who know NLP or experts have a book that you recommend?
I'm not a good one to ask that of because I'm not a book reader kind of guy. But
Richard Bandler was a guy, is the most notable guy, and of the two of them, Grinder was the other one. Get Grinder's books, not Bandler's.
Okay.
Bandler literally got away with murder because he NLP'd the jury into a classic NLP path. Well, we knew he was guilty initially, but then we got kind of confused, and at the end we realized he was innocent.
Wow, scary. So
Yeah.
Grindler, Grindler,
Grindler, Grindler. Bandler and Grindler are the two. If you look up they didn't create it, they just discovered it, and they did it by well, you'll get into the story if you look at it. Grindler,
great, thank you.
Hey, Jim.
and his wife.
Oh, go ahead, Richard. I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
I was just saying, Grindler and his wife are the two that took a more ethical path, and they would be good. Their books are a little harder to read than Bandler's, but they're better books.
And then Roger, you have a book, but I can't read the author.
That one is NLP, The Essential Handbook for Business by Lazarus, Jeremy Lazarus.
Yeah, the whole thing with Bandler and the other one, like Richard said, they discovered it. What the way NLP came about, it was a discovery of a modeling process. You know, they looked at what was happening, like when, say in sales, this has been done in sales, they'll take the top salesman on the floor and they'll have everyone take the day off and just shadow him. And they say, watch what he does, pay attention to everything that he does. If he leans forward in his chair when he's speaking on the phone, that's important. They say, we want you to model exactly what he does. You don't need to know why, just do it. They say, don't think about it, just model exactly what he does. If he talks higher, if he talks lower, if his tonality changes, listen to what he's doing and do the exact same thing. And their sales just went through the roof. You know, it wasn't sales training. It was just, here's a guy that's kicking ass on the sales floor. I want you to spend the day looking over his shoulder and just do exactly what he does. And that's where those initial guys got it. It's called modeling. You model and you get the same results. You know, it's like if you put 3 grains of sand in a cup, and Allie puts 3 grains of sand in a cup, and Jim puts 3 grains of sand in a cup, they're all going to walk away with a cup full of 3 grains of sand, right? Because they all did the same thing. That's NLP. It's modeling. It's taking something that is worked for whatever to get an outcome, and that's how you communicate to get that outcome. It's modeling.
John,
Yes, Ellie.
I just thought maybe you could share, Jay Williams in our crypto club is a master NLP trainer, and he's awesome. So if you want to keep it in-house, I know he's going to start. That's
what Richard had brought up.
Oh, was that who you said? I didn't hear the name, Richard. I'm having trouble with my internet today.
Yeah.
It's
and
storming here.
Jay was actually on this call. He's in this group too.
Oh,
and he was actually on the call. It was either last week or the week before.
oh, good. Yeah, he's great. And he's doing a course in November. So anyway, I just thought that would be of interest.
He's the one that's built. It's actually, he has a course based on my time compression.
Yeah,
he said
exactly.
We
were talking yesterday, and he was giving you credit there.
Yeah, he said, I'm going to take that, I'm going to unpack it, and I'm going to allow people to model you. So that's what he did. He created a modeling program off of my time compression whatever that is, whatever it is that I do naturally.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It is. Cool. Anyway, that's, I didn't hear Richard, there's storming here and the internet's going in and out.
So anyway,
what's this? What are we looking at?
Back to Randy.
Oh,
this
cool.
stuff is fine, Randy. I think you're still on here, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So no problem here other than the darkness, the black here.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's kind of a mood. It might work because you got the dark audience back here. So not totally against that, but a lot of times, you want bright, cheery, because it's all about creating a mood and an outcome. And generally people that are looking for a bright outcome are not looking to do it in a dark room.
So here's where part of my problem exists. And I took copious notes, and I'm going to review real quick because I think I got it. But here's where I got confused. I took these templates as these are templates that work. I didn't realize, well, maybe I should change colors, and obviously the picture makes sense and what you were saying about the visuals, but like that dark space there, I thought, okay, they've used this before. It must work in real life. So don't touch it. And you're saying, no, you can really pretty much play with everything.
Yeah. What I'm saying is not to say that there's not a template out there that you could take and run with and it would be perfect for you.
Right.
But the thing is, this is an intellectual game. So don't take things for granted. Like don't assume that the whole box of templates over there is going to work for you on every occasion.
Right.
It might have been built for a different purpose. It might have been built for, a seminar about meditation or, whatever. So you have to, when you're building your marketing message and you're building your business and you're creating your avatar and all that stuff, it's very specific to you. It's very specific to who you're selling to. So you need to make adjustments accordingly to that. Not just, grab it off the shelf. The thing about the grabbing it off the shelf is the frame is usually ideal.
Okay.
The frame, they're saying, okay, you put your testimonials here, you put your course materials here, you put your intro up here, you put, this is the framework. But it's not necessarily the picture that you need to portray to your audience.
Got it. Okay.
Money back guarantee. Again, they're saying, okay, this is something that we use. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right for you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Many cases, these will be pretty good, pretty close.
Got it.
Okay. But always use your head. This is your business. This is your offer. You are responsible for its outcome.
Right.
So think it through. Every piece of it, say, is this going to get me the best outcome?
Got it. Yeah.
And if
thank you, that helps a lot.
Yeah, if your answer comes up with a no, then just keep on sharpening the pencil till you get yes.
Got it.
All right. So cool. Good stuff. And again, congratulations for doing that initial thing. That's the hardest thing to do, is to just make the first move forward. There's so many people that get stuck and they're afraid to make mistakes, right? They're afraid that, oh my God, if I made a page and I let them talk about it, it wouldn't be right. And that will keep them from ever building a page. It's like, and that's why I show you guys when I make mistakes all the time, and I'm the first one to throw them out and say, look at what an idiot I was. But it's the fact that if you don't make mistakes, you're not going to fix them. Right? You don't have anything to fix. You never.
Well, this is going to get redone, and this is going to get redone, and I think I've got it. I took copious notes on two pieces of paper, and I'm going to get this taken care of, update, and spend time on it tomorrow and get it. I'll send you a copy before it goes anywhere else, but
all right.
I think I got what you.
That's
I think I
awesome.
got what you're saying.
You are what it takes, Randy. You're an action taker.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
That is what it takes. You got to take an action, no matter how small it is. It could.
I
it could be-
appreciate your help. Appreciate everyone giving me time to get this under the belt. And I'm going to sign off because I got to finish I'm halfway to LA, or 3/4 of the way. I got to go visit a client. But I thank you so much, each and every one of you.
All right, you got it. But
And
that's
thanks, Mike. Mike sent a note, so I'll take a picture of that real quick and then get going.
Good.
All right, you
stuff.
guys have a great day. Thank you so much.
Okay, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
But even if it's just your big idea, make a big idea, throw it out, we'll look at it, we'll tear it apart, we'll reassemble it, put it back together and get you the first step, or even if it's just your avatar, come out here. That's what this call is for. Throw it out here. Say, does this sound right for my avatar? And I'll ask you some questions that in advance I'm going to ask you. And if you're prepared, you've done the work, you're probably going to be right on the money with it. And if you're not, at least you'll have made the first mistake and you can fix it and get over it and get on to the next one. I need you to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to make a lot of mistakes in this process, probably every step of the way. And that's perfectly okay. The faster you make the mistakes, the faster you're going to be successful. Right? You got to make them. I didn't get here without making a shitload of mistakes. Right? I know, as much as you guys want to believe that I came out of the womb perfect, I did not. And and I won't go in the box at the end perfect. I will be in a very unrefined diamond at the end of my rainbow. But the more mistakes you make along the way, the more successes you're going to have. That's all there is to it. I wish I could change that, but and the other thing it will do, it will make you make less mistakes as you go, because it's like when you start to learn to ride a bike, how many times are you going to fall off? You're going to fall off a lot in the very beginning, but every time you make that mistake, you're like, oh shit, I won't make that again. There might be a time, like there was a time when I was probably, 12, 13 years old. I hadn't fallen off the bike in years, right? But I got a new bike, a new 10-speed, and it had the handle brakes up front. Well, I never had a bike with front brakes, right? So guess what? I made a freaking mistake. I hit that front brake and I went ass over tea kettle and got some road rash, right? I thought I was done with my biking mistakes. No, learned a new one. Did I ever do it again? I'm a quick learner, soft head. So I hope these cheesy stories and stuff help, and a little ashamed to actually admit they're all true.
I personally am going to use ass over tea kettle. I just love that. I'm going to make an illustration out of that one.
Yeah, you could probably make an NFT and make a fortune over that one.
I'm seriously, and I'll give you some love for it, Johnny. Ass over tea kettle. I have never heard that. I love it.
It's an old Midwest expression.
Yeah, that one was not mine. It was been around a long time.
I've been saying it with you, actually. The minute you said you hit those brakes, I said, oh, he's going to say ass over tea kettle. And you did. Yep. I was right there with you.
Happy to not disappoint on that one.
You didn't. You didn't.
Your real life examples are well appreciated, John.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I have plenty examples of mistakes. There's no shortage. You just give me a situation and I will let them go.
Yeah. Have the Bible, do you?
Yeah, I have the Bible of mistakes. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
And we are
Oh, boy.
nowhere close to broaching Exodus yet.
Nope.
Oh
All
gosh.
right. Oh, cool. So anything else before we wrap up? I did have one more thing I wanted to share with you guys, which was I thought was really cool, but I'll leave the floor if you have any questions. I'll save it till the end.
Well, I have a question.
John.
Okay, Terry, go ahead.
First of all, thanks for allowing me to come in and be with you guys. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Last time we talked, we were talking about my website, and I tend to, there's a couple of things that happen to me as an artist often. First of all, it's the power of of threes.
Okay.
So if I hear it 3 times, I got to do it. So that can be very challenging sometimes. And then the next thing is that it takes me a while to absorb things which have been told to me. And so I too have a Bible of mistakes, but currently I am hip deep in alligators. There's another phraseology for you. And I got to thinking about what we talked about as being an artist, always worrying about the look of the website and all this sort of thing. And this is very self-serving, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How easy would how is it possible that you and I have been working on this website, and we've been going back and forth on my first page. And today I woke up and I said, you know what I could really use right now is if you would be kind enough to take a look at my website and make sure it's just linking and functioning, and just leave it alone till the beginning of the year. And the reason I ask you this is because
you're talking about your existing site, not the new one that we're creating.
Yeah, or the new one that we're creating that we can maybe somehow get the links to fit. Because here's my dilemma. I'm teaching a pumpkin carving sculpting class that happens at the end of October. And it is almost full. And I'm not sure that the link works for them to pay.
Gotcha.
So I've been holding them at bay, even though I know they all want, this class filled up so fast, my head was spinning. So, I'm saying, just give me, today's my mother's birthday. Give me past my mother's birthday, and I think I can focus on it. But then I'm always.
Then there's always something else, right?
I've got so much. I've got my dad out of the hospital and my mother in the convalescent hospital. My mom has a birthday. My dad has doctor's appointments I have to drive him to, and my work isn't getting done.
Well,
so
tell me this, on your old site, your existing site, do we have all the content that was on there that you wanted moved to the new site?
I think so, with the exception of my portfolio, which wouldn't help me now anyway, but we could address that later.
So that being said, we could just take your new site live, and then you can just give me a list of what you want. My guys can do it, and you're up to speed. And then, it doesn't have to be done. It'll never be done, right?
No, I know it'll never be done, which is why I said I don't need to have my portfolio or anything like that. There's just a few key things. For example, Outrageous Pumpkins goes live on September 25th. This is I've been shooting this show as a judge for years. So I just want to make sure if people want to link it to the show schedule, that works. But even more importantly, the classes that I'm doing, the virtual classes that I'm teaching, if they click to pay, it goes to where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
And so far, I'm not sure that I've even asked that question right of you before. So I'm not.
As long as you know the links to where you want to send it, we can make those links live in a heartbeat.
Okay, so I would need to maybe find that, because Cynthia before said just that she had sent you everything. Did she not? I should ask, huh? I won't ask you that question. I'll ask her that question. I'll take some responsibility.
It's kind of a loaded question. Send you everything.
Yeah, it is loaded. It's like, it's all done.
I bet she sent me everything that was in a particular folder. Yes, I'm sure.
I'll find out. I'll find out from her and see exactly what.
Were the links on your old site?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would
Yeah.
venture to say then they're probably moved. And
Okay.
you can test that by going to the staging server where we have it set up for you and
Mhm.
just go through, click them, see if they work.
Okay.
If they work, then you're good to go.
Okay. All right. I'll do that. I'll go
If-
to the
if
staging. I have no idea what a staging server is, so you know I've not been there.
I'll re-email you the link just so you know where it
Oh, bless
is.
your heart. You're so patient. That's the thing I love about you, is that anyone who works with me when it comes to this sort of thing, because you are talking about the things you don't want to do. Oh Lord, if I may be able to create something in a midair, but boy, when it comes to this technical stuff, I just don't want to, John. I really
hear
don't
ya.
want to.
The cool thing about it is you all think I'm doing all this. I'm not doing any
No,
of
I know it's your team. I'd kill to have someone that would just do this, but right now you need time to explain. Do you know what I mean? Your team
Yeah.
person doesn't want to sit there and just make money. They'd like to help you. Well, most
I'm just the conduit.
I know. And I'm looking at my conduit saying, can we just make this as simple as possible so that it works? And then after I deal with all of this that seem to be growing, I'll go back to the website, because like you said,
Absolutely. But if we had the guys pull all the stuff existing, then it's more than likely on there, and any links that were on there
okay.
were working should be working.
Okay.
But if you just go through the staging server, it's
Okay.
just like a website. You can navigate through, you can click on all the links. If everything's working as you want it, if it's not doing what you want, just let me know. We'll fix it.
Just make notes, just like take notes of
Yep.
of those things. Okay. Yes, John, please resend me that link and I'll get on that, because
Okay.
that's the one thing that just doesn't want to. I'm trying to make everything sleep while I take care of my family. But there are things that jump out and go, if you don't take care of this, you're not going to get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Speaking of sore toes.
Let's fix your gout.
Yeah, exactly.
You have website gout.
Mine is a big frog that has about 2 toes eaten, and I'm trying to get onto that 3rd toe, but those other 2 keep growing back. So
Awesome.
So
But
thanks,
seriously,
John.
that's the easiest way to do it.
Oh, bless your heart. I love easy.
And that way it's live. And if there's anything at all you find that you need or you want,
Oh,
you just
thank
throw
you.
it in and it's done. It's working.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'll look for that link. And then I think that I have to be careful, because once a really major thing, at least major to me, gets fulfilled or taken care of, I pass out for like a day. And I'm going, I don't have a day to pass out. I'm too busy. Stop doing that. But the relief, the lift that I think is not there.
Well, just by knowing it's never going to be done, you can just take that off your plate.
I know. Do that now. Thanks a lot, John. I really appreciate it.
You got it.
John,
All right.
she reminded me of one quick question I had. I will submit a ticket, so I don't expect your soft head to remember this after the call, because you want it in writing. I know I do. On the Yarborough site, real estate website, I know we said we're going to redo the posts and we'll put the listings back in there. However, is there a way of taking the blog posts and the listings that are on the current site and moving them to like a private folder on the new site? I don't expect you to do anything except just move folders.
Yeah.
So we could go back in and do all the editing and all that stuff later, but it would save us having to recreate everything. And when the other site's down, it's gone. And there's 100 pages or so in there that we need to go through and review. So
yeah, that's not a problem as long as we've got access to the old site where that content lives.
I will get you the access to the website, and I'll submit a ticket. So thank you.
Yeah, I can have my guys migrate that, no problem. And they don't have to make it live. You'll have all the posts on the site, and then you can decide and pick and choose what you want to use later.
Great. That'll work. Thank you, John.
Sure, absolutely. All right, anything else? Okay, so what I wanted to share with you guys was I got an interesting email from Kartra the other day. And it was requesting a meeting. And I'm like, well, this is interesting. and it said, you know, the guy that came through, he says, I'm your new account representative, and I need to have a serious discussion with you. And I'm thinking, this is not like a form letter here. So I scheduled a time to talk to him, and we get on, and he's been with them for a while. He was one of their tech guys and has kind of been moving up the ladder into administration. And he said one of the things that they had done was they were analyzing my activities. And I'm like, oh shit, here it comes. and he said, of all of our affiliates, he said, you're in the top 40 of all of our affiliates. And I'm like thinking, wow, you know, I haven't really worked that hard to push Kartra. So that was kind of surprising, but that wasn't the thing that really surprised him. That surprised me more than anything. But the thing that surprised him was, out of the top 40, I was in the very top of client retention. And he said, how do you do that? How do you keep customers forever?
Charge them money, Johnny.
And this is something that we've been talking about for a long time, is keeping people forever. Well, apparently when I send somebody to Kartra, they stick. The stick rate is incredible for me. Most of their affiliates, he said, on average is 3 to 6 months tops. And he said, we have an incredible amount of fallout. And he said that my job is to figure out how to stabilize this company so we have long-term income. And I said, well, it's in my best interest to help you stabilize that company, because I run my company on it. So I want it to be stable. And I thought, damn it, here is my perfect opportunity to use NLP. And I painted him a little picture that at the end of it, he came out with the conclusion that he should be taking anyone that goes through the Kartra sales funnel and doesn't purchase, or anyone that has fallen out, and funneling them to act, so I can prepare them and bring them home. I can get them ready to run a real business on Kartra and re-deliver them from evil to good. And I'm like, holy shit, that could be major. Because I said, most of the people that I send to Kartra, I created a Kartra training. I said, you guys make great training. There's no doubt your Kartra training is awesome if you need to know how to do something specific. I said, but where you failed is you failed to show people how to make money with it. You failed to show them how to put it into their business and build a business around it. And that's where I come in. I built a training that shows them how to do that. And that's why when I send somebody to you, they've already been through that. So when somebody builds a business around Kartra, they're never going to shut it off. And it was like I just smacked him in the head with a 2x4 to wake him up.
Well, that seed blossomed into a tree.
Yeah. And I attached that back to the unique mechanism that allows me to do that, is the ACT program. So
yeah, but also you help people understand Kartra, because it's gnarly. The one-off trainings are like, you know, you might as well take the blue pill and forget about it. You know, you're here to answer questions.
Mm-hmm. But
that's the key.
Yeah, and it goes back to Craig. You know, Craig says, do your best because you don't know who's watching, right?
Yep.
I was just doing my thing, not knowing who was watching, and the people at Kartra were watching. So it was just, well, like,
they have all that analytics. It finally paid off.
Yeah. The other thing, you know, in the conversation, they were telling me about, or he was telling me about, you know, with some of their plans for Kartra and what they're integrating in, and he was touting it as though he was very proud of it. And I stuck a fork in it, and I said, that's not where you need to go. because he was talking about these advanced analytics things. And I said, that's not your customer base. I said, you really need to stay in your lane. I said, what's important to your customers is ease of getting this up and running in their business. They're not going to care about advanced analytics. That is an enterprise level solution you're trying to bring down to a beginner. I said, they don't care. It's just going to confuse them, and it's going to hurt your sales ratios.
It's going to scare us and make us go away. It's like it's just what you were talking about before. It's totally off base on the why. They're so disconnected from their, you ought to make them take your ACT program. That would be an awesome proposal, that all of their salespeople take ACT.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, I smacked him over the forehead, and he's like, oh my God, he goes, you're right. He goes, people that really want that, they would need an enterprise solution anyway, and they're not going to go with this.
No.
John, I would just pipe in concurrence with what you and Allie are saying. I see that everything has a price on two dimensions: the investment of money and the investment of learning time.
The time.
And if something that you newly acquired has just a overwhelming amount of material to assimilate and figure out and compartmentalize into what you need, what you don't, and how to use it, you're right. It's too much. It's too costly.
Yeah, they don't care, and it's just going to hurt them. I said, you need to focus on what's important to your customers, which is ease and simplicity. And he's like,
they fail big time on both of those, John. I hired a VA because I wanted to get going fast and just pay somebody to get the Kartra up while I'm doing all this other stuff. And we got the major stuff that I needed him to do done. And I thought, oh, I need to do a quick landing page here. And I went in there to try and take one of my existing pages and just modify it. I spent an hour and a half, got nowhere, had to call my VA, and he says, well, this is how that works, and this is how that works. And I think I'd rather put my teeth in a meat grinder than have to deal with that. God, is that
no, there is no doubt there's definitely a learning curve to this. Like, you know, a lot of you guys, I've helped you with your Kartra stuff. And, you know, like Teresa, she'll have a landing page up and she'll be fumbling around with it for a while, and I'll just say, oh, okay, click here, do this, slide that there. And she's like, okay, well, I spent the last 90 minutes trying to do that. And it's just a matter of having guidance, you know, because again, you can't get it right without making mistakes, right? The biggest mistake was not just calling me to show you how to do it.
Exactly.
Well, my comment on that, John, is that rather than showing me, you will, for the most part, do it for me, which means that the minute we are off a call, I forgot 90% of what you did. And I always forget to say, we need to record this. So I don't have it. So I have to keep circling back to you. And by the time you probably get very frustrated with me and just say, what the hell, I'll just put it up for the lady. So I love you, but.
But it's not that if I just did it for you though, and you didn't see me do it, you'd have no idea how to do it.
That's true. That's true.
I guarantee you learn, maybe not all the way, but you learn at a percentage ratio by seeing it done. Whereas if it's just done for you, it leaves you helpless.
Mm-hmm.
It's like magic. So at the very least, very few things I'll just do for you. I'm going to let you see how to do it so it empowers you to be able to do it. And some people I'll actually make them do it. I'll walk them through it, but I'll make them take the steps themselves because I know that's how they learn. But, you know, some people are a visual learner. Some people are an auditorial learner. Some have to have hands-on. Some can just see it. Like for me, I can just see it. You show me something once, you're never gonna have to show me again, ever. I will have it locked in. And But I know not everyone is like that. But if you just did it for me, and I don't know how you did it, it's going to bother me at a very deep level of, damn it, how'd they do that? I want that power, you know, and you should all want the power to be able to manipulate your future. That's what Kartra allows me to do. Kartra has made me so powerful to be able to create an opt-in in, you know, in like 10 minutes, I can be collecting leads. I can have an opportunity at my fingertips, and literally within 10 minutes, I can be taking advantage of it. Even if I'm not ready to sell them something, I'm building the list. I'm putting a domino up and another one in front of it, another one in front of it, another one in front of it. And then at some point in the future, I'm like, okay, it's time to knock that domino down and watch them rip. And that's what, you know, I've been setting those dominoes up my entire life. And some of them are in play for years and even decades before I'll knock them down. But man, when I knock them down and the thing rips, it's exciting. It's awesome. You know, like the whole ACT program, there's a lot of dominoes got set up in that. A lot of people got exposed to that, knowing that's a domino for the future. You know, like the alignable thing, the Kartra thing, that was the one I set up. I didn't even know what the hell it was for, but it's there and I'm getting ready to knock it down. And it's going to be exciting to watch that thing go zzz through the whole Kartra community. And the beauty of some of the dominoes is you only set up one and they set the rest up for you. You know, like all my affiliates, those are dominoes. And I just had to set up maybe the one or two to get to that point. And then when I click that one, it clicks, and then the rest are the power of them and their network knocking their dominoes down for me. So it's a cool game. There's so much I love about the game of business. It's like, I don't want to know what's going to happen next. I just want to wake up tomorrow and say, what's going to be at my fingertips today? But as I go through, I'm setting up all the dominoes I possibly can, whether I know it or not. So, all right, guys. Well, that was it. That was my big news, my big aha share there with the Kartra. I thought it was pretty cool. Cool stuff. So we will
Congratulations.
We will see you guys next week. I've got in about 20 minutes, I've got my Alignable call where we're going to set up ACT for Alignable.
Wow.
7 million people going to get exposed to ACT in October.
Wow.
That's
Wowie,
gonna be
wowie.
pretty cool stuff.
Uh-oh.
Big domino. That's a big ass domino.
Yeah. Line up those back end people, John.
Yep. All right, guys. I'll have a great week. Set your dominoes up, make some mistakes, bring them on. Let's get a good laugh out of them and move on to the success.
All right. Have a great week, everybody. Good to see y'all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.